a great guy. So happy I met Arnold. I could just talk about that, but then he'd get mad at me and I'd use up my time, so I won't. It was a bright September day in Brooklyn, like today, except Brooklyn and September. I was catching a taxi to my young, good-looking surgeon's office. I was a few days after my hysterectomy, and this was going to be the time that he told me, shook my hand, and he told me, congratulations, we got all the cancer. Instead, he motioned for me to sit, shut his office door, and began pacing behind his desk, towering over me with statistics. I wish he would just sit next to me or smile like he did when we met. Mrs. Thomas, it's serious. The cancer spread from your uterus to your ovaries. I'm not sure if we got it all. I don't want to give you false hope. False hope. How can it be hope if it's false? And if it's hope, it's not false. And if it's false, it's not hope. That's like an oxymoron. Mrs. Thomas, you have a 50-50 chance of being alive in 5 years if you don't do exactly what I say. Mrs. Thomas? I'm not married. I'm not my mother. And this guy just took out my uterus, my fallopian tubes, and my ovaries out of my vagina. I think we can be on a first-name basis. He tells me, you must start 6 weeks of radiation followed by 6 months of chemotherapy immediately. He calls it protocol. It sounds like a threat. Statistics. I'm just a number to him. I tell him that, I'd like a second opinion. He says, okay, as long as you start treatment first. That's not how second opinions work. You're supposed to get the opinion and then make up your mind. I have other reasons. Oh gosh. Plus, research says I can barely walk because of the radiation and the surgery, and research says that you should heal from your surgery before starting radiation. Now, I don't have a medical degree, but I do have a law degree, and I'm really good at research. And research also says that what is considered protocol 1 year is over-treatment the next year. Just read the New York Times. I have other reasons to be nervous, to be cautious about this surgeon. One, I have a fever that is so bad that I can't sleep at night, and he says it's just menopause. That's not what the internet says. Two, I woke up in the middle of surgery to hear him saying, she's not supposed to look like that. She's much more thinner. She's much too bloated. That hurt. I fell back asleep. He won't even talk about side effects. Doesn't he know that there's more to my life than just living? What about my bike? Can I ride my bike? Will I be able to ride my bike after all this? My life is nothing without my bike. I go home in a daze. And I'm confused. Did I just choose this guy because he's good looking? I've made that mistake before. I don't have time to be sad. I have to give myself a medical school education immediately. My family's asking me all these questions. What do we do? Why did he say that? What do you mean by that? I don't know. I've never had cancer before. I'm CEO of Gail's Big Decision Incorporated, and I'm completely unprepared. My entire staff doesn't know what to do. We all have the first job jitters. Dr. Google is equally scary. Side effects include more cancer, nausea, uncontrollable flapping eyelids. That's from the nausea medicine. And sex, forget sex. I'm not supposed to ever have sex again because apparently radiation tightens things up down there. A couple of ex-boyfriends offered to help me keep things stretched out, but that's them being helpful. And oddly, all this research and everything is very exhilarating. I've actually never felt this alive before. It's life or death decisions. It's actually really exciting. 2 days later, I'm lying on this long table, and there's this big radiation machine over me. This is my simulation appointment. The nurses are measuring my torso with a mold so that I'll be in exactly the same place for every radiation times, 30 times. And zit, zit, zit. They give me a triangle shape of 3 pen-sized tattoos to make sure that the radiation goes to the same place every time. This feels wrong, but it's the price of living, I tell myself. The radiologist enters the room. He's got a chart. He's got my chart. He looks at my chart. He looks at me. He looks at my chart. He looks at me. Like he's trying to decide between the two of them. And then finally he speaks. You know, there's a chance that you don't have to do radiation or chemo. There's a chance that they got it all, that it's 2 early stage cancers, no treatment required. Now that is true hope. And more confusion. I go home, I talk to my yoga teacher, he says, just eat an onion every day. You won't have any friends, but you won't have cancer. My Chinese herbalist says, just drink this tea. My Dominican handyman stops by with an Elvira plant. My brother's like Rambo, do it all, do it all. He has an MBA, so he knows. I guess my family's just really nervous that I'm a depressed, suicidal yoga student, but maybe I am. This is depressing. I get 2, 3 more pathology reports. One of the 3 pathology reports agrees with the radiologist. It is 2 early stage cancers. This is real hope. I go back to my young surgeon and he refuses to talk about it. He says that I must begin treatment immediately. My life is in danger. He goes on vacation and I break up with him via email. By this time, I have met with doctors all over the city, and I have found a kind, experienced, older surgeon who tells me, he listens to me. He tells me that science is not perfect. He grins, and he doesn't laugh at me when I say, what's the least amount of treatment I can do without seeming suicidal? I didn't do radiation. I did about 3 cycles of chemo, which is half of what the original guy wanted me to do. It was minimal side effects. I rode my bike here tonight. I've been riding my bike every day for the past 6 years. It was 6 years ago. I'm cancer-free. Whenever I look at those little tattoos, they're permanent, those little tattoos, the radiation ones, instead of thinking about the terrible, condescending surgeon or the scary radiation machine, I see Gail standing up to Goliath and winning. Stand up for yourself. Believe your instincts, trust your instincts. Thank you very much.